everybody around her, okay, they would terrify of her. You feel very tense if you have to pretend. If you have to pretend. If you have to pretend liking the flowers that in front, you don't really like it and you have to pretend like it. But you really like them, but you have to keep some, you have to be reserved, you have to keep your manner and you can't really express this. Again, okay, you have to suppress your emotion using a lot of your energy. So this is running away from your emotion. Most venerable Zen master Thich Nhat Hanh, he mentioned in one of his talks about an accident in Vietnam. A man went to war, leaving his pregnant wife at home. So 3 years when he returned, his child has never seen him. He wanted his son, okay, to call him daddy. The child doesn't pretend, the child doesn't call daddy. Call me daddy, I'm your daddy. And the child said, no, you're not my daddy. My daddy comes in the evening. My mom talks to him every day. Now, he got a shock, the shock of his life. He was prepared for the war. He has fought the war. When he returned home, he's facing a new war, emotional war. Life is a journey of emotion. Instead of acknowledging, instead of getting in touch with his emotion, he suppresses his emotion. Meaning, he pretends as if nothing happens between him and his wife. He doesn't talk to his wife about this. But he's very suspicious of her. And that is a welcoming ceremony that you have to do according to that tradition. Worshipping the ancestors and all that. After he has worshipped the ancestor, it was his wife's turn, but he took away the mattress. He didn't want her to do this because now he suspects her. Okay, you have another man in your life, but not my wife. That was what was dominating his mind. But he didn't say that to her. So she didn't know what was on his mind. She didn't have a chance to explain. A day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. It became too much for her. She also didn't tell him, didn't ask him, darling, why are you behaving like this to me? She was also suppressing her emotion. This happened, okay, between brothers and sisters, between husband and wife, between parents and children, between colleagues at work, between organization members. These things happen. So both husband and wife, they were suppressing their suspicion, their emotion. A lot of emotion was going on. All of them were active. And you know, strong, they only operate at the subconscious level. That one day, the wife couldn't take it anymore. She jumped into the river, committing suicide. Now the man had to take care of the baby himself. In the evening, he sat down near the firewood and was comforting the child. And now with light, there's a shadow of him. And the child said, "That's my daddy." Because when he was away, all his wife did was to talk to the shadow, to talk to him about his shadow. And the child thinks that's his father. You can see miscommunication. You may think that the incident, this kind of incident is rare, but the suppression behavior of emotion is not rare. It's an everyday behavior among ourselves. So acknowledgement, a proper acknowledgement of our emotion is very important. Positive emotion, negative emotion, we just need to acknowledge it and acknowledge that non-judgmentally. What do we mean non-judgmentally? Not to judge good or bad. Because when we judge good or bad, that can be just opinion. You look at wife and the husband and wife, they sustain each other with their opinion. Just opinion. And they didn't have a chance to discuss with each other. If we are not in touch with our emotion, we can't be in touch with the emotion of the person next to us. If we are not in touch with their emotion, we can't understand why they say what they say, why they do what they do. We can't understand. Emotion plays an important role in their decision making. You have chosen to wear a certain color to come to this session. Emotion plays a role. You have chosen to eat a certain food for your lunch. Emotion plays a role. You have chosen to inform some people and not others. Emotion plays a role. That's emotion. After today's exercise, when you read newspaper, if you see people talking in the newspaper, try to identify emotion. When you watch a telly, a movie, try to identify emotion without judging good or bad. When you read a novel, just try to identify with emotion. Boys, who are interested in football, are trying to see emotion in a football match, in the loser, in the winner, in the way that people give comments after that or before that. Then you will become emotional intelligent. So the first step, the most essential foundation is to keep in touch with our emotion, to know what is it. Every emotion has an energy. whether we are going to leave it to become destructive energy, or constructive energy. We have a choice. We don't believe in one of the philosophies during the Buddha's time in India is called determinism or fatalism, that everything is fixed. We don't believe in that. We believe that everything is in our hand and we can shape our own destiny. And the way to do that, as far as I understand, is to get in touch with our emotion. When you go out with very nice handbag, you feel very good. If you have many handbags, which one you choose on which occasion, that emotion plays a role. Now, you go out with this handbag. You are at the place in the ceremony. If no one says anything, look at your emotion. If you're expecting somebody to give compliments to your handbag and no one is coming forth, then you can see you're starting to get tense. That's expectation. So expectation is also emotion. When there's expectation, there is disappointment. And this disappointment is also emotion. You see, one after another. If you have to start a function with high expectation and disappointment, all happen at the subconscious level. You're not going to enjoy the function 100%. You put on your best dress and no one is saying giving any compliment. You go home, you're disappointed that no one has noticed that you are in your best dress, that you have shaved your head. These things, they happen on a daily basis. I'd like to suggest that we do a short exercise and then we have questions and answers and break. We are going to do about 15 minutes exercise. That's part of mindfulness meditation. First is to try to breathe nice and gentle. Nice and gentle. Nice breathing is very important. Every day, for 24 hours, we breathe about 20,000 times. How many times we breathe normally? Nicely. To support our lungs, to provide sufficient oxygen to our blood, to our cells. So it's important to breathe nicely. And then I'm going to suggest that you imagine, you visualize. I would rather say you scan your emotion here and now. What kind of emotion you have? Is there any obvious emotion? Are you being restless, thinking about what you're going to do tomorrow? Or something that you have had to cancel today? Or something that you have done but not quite up to your expectation? today and that keeps bothering you. So just observe any obvious emotion. Register that. Register without judging. Register non-judgmentally. And then release. You train your mind to release that emotion. And return to breathing. Register, release, and return 3 hours. Register the emotion a few times, 3 or 4 times. Register willingly, not because you want to get rid of that emotion, but with a lot of interest, with willingness, as if this is your only child. You pay attention. So that one thing. Then the second thing is go back to yesterday, maybe at work, at home, trying to notice some noticeable emotion. That's yesterday. And then maybe last week, maybe last month. So 3 points for you, here and now, yesterday, and before that, previously, maybe last week or last month. When you notice the emotion, when you are in touch with the emotion, see how your mind reacts, whether your mind gets carried away by that emotion. If something nasty to you, and you're aware of that agitation, if the mind starts blaming the person who says something stupid to you, then observe that as well. Blame me. Register, release, and return. So you all said, okay, first for today, here and now, then yesterday, then go back a little further to the past. Out of that, try to connect with the emotion of your loved one. Don't be judgmental, just try to relate to that emotion. Noticeable one. Your family members. And the third one is your colleagues at work. Whether they are tense, whether they are impatient, agitated. So three groups of people you all said. Number 1, number 2, family members, one by one. And number 3, the people you work with. Slow and deep breathing. Slow and deep breathing. Take nice breath. 15 minutes. action, good or bad, simply recognizing them as they are. Which is the release and return. Okay, you can open your eyes now. Any questions? No question. Can you pass the microphone?
I want to ask, after we identify the emotion, so to what extent do we let it go, or do we assume we let it go, but it still refuse to go? Then what do we do? Thanks.
You raise a very important question. Letting go is not an easy thing. It's a practice. Letting go happens only with fully conscious mind. Not only fully conscious mind, but also the mind with compassion and with wisdom. We are going to be talking in the next sessions. Just to be aware of it is not enough. Sometimes when we are aware of it, and we don't have the experience of letting go, then the mind doesn't know what to do with that. So the mind clings onto that. Meaning subconscious mind comes in. Subconscious mind and conscious mind, they are always behaving like a tug of war, trying to win. So when we register emotion, this is dissatisfaction, this is irritation, this is irritation. We use a third person's tone. Not that I am agitated. We don't put I in the agitation, because agitation as an element that works with subconscious mind, okay, it has no person. It cannot distinguish even between positive and negative elements. And there is no I, there is no you in that irritation. Irritation can happen anywhere, anytime, to anyone, okay, who has no mindfulness, who has no compassion. Irritation can happen. So we register, this is irritation, this is irritation, this is irritation. And we deliberately move our attention to something else. Deliberately move our attention back to breathing. I call this attention movement control. A and C. Our attention. If anger comes back again, you do the same. Acknowledge it. You acknowledge this and you move your attention away from anger again. You do this for 3 or 4 times. When you do this 3 or 4 times, you are establishing the conscious, the supremacy of consciousness over the subconscious mind. By doing this simple exercise, 3 arms, just release and return. Once you have done that, you have the capacity to get in touch with more emotion. Anger doesn't come then. Okay. If you're angry with somebody, your attitude may be negative toward this person as well. Your attitude toward this person, your attitude towards yourself. If I come here, okay, to this room, expecting special treatment, that's my attitude. If I don't get that, I get angry. It's not just anger that I have to get in touch, also my own attitude. Sometimes we expect other people, and we are not aware about the expectation because we think that's part of our privilege as human being, and this is our pride and like that. And when that happens, we have very low resilience to tolerate any discomfort. So anger can happen very easily. It can happen very easily. But what I'm trying to say is that mystery has a lot of associates. It comes with many friends. So it's about dissecting anger. To let go, it doesn't mean anger will be vanished into the sea. It's not like that. It's about understanding anger. When we talk about the Four Noble Truths, negative emotion is the first noble truth. And what do we have to do? Do we have to run away from this? No. Do we have to fight with that? No. We shouldn't use our emergency resources dealing with them. What do? We have to use intelligence. We have to use understanding. We have to understand. Only through understanding that letting go will arise. So here, when you go back and forth using attention movement control like that, now you know that your mind is more or less stable. You can stay with anger longer. You can observe it continuously. Now you should observe anger continuously. Just feel the pain of anger. Feel the pain of anger and try to see the automatic reaction that tend to come up. The blaming game that pop up again and again. As you see them, acknowledge them non-judgmentally, you bring them up to the from subconscious mind to the conscious mind. In the subconscious mind and at the conscious level, conscious mind level, anger has no power. Anger has no power. You know, if a predator, a lion and a buffalo, if they see each other in the open and facing each other like this, the lion wouldn't kill the buffalo because they look at each other like this. It's in the open. So conscious mind is like in the open space. So, we can in touch with anger, we stay with that as long as we can at some point. At the beginning, we need to retreat. We need to deliberately move our attention away so that we don't get overwhelmed by anger. This is to take the opportunity to grow and strengthen mindfulness. So this is the process. Yeah.
I find that this is a very interesting exercise, and I compare that with how I deal with emotion. Sometimes we distract ourselves, so it's also a form of attention movement, but we move our attention to something else to distract ourselves, and we don't get in touch with our emotion. So when I did the exercise, I find that I also come away with a clearer idea of the problem that caused the emotion, as well as a sense of the solution with and hence the action to do. So I'm just wondering, is this a natural process in this practice?
Yeah. This is natural process. The Buddha said this natural process existed even before he became Buddha. Very natural. To get in touch with this is very important. Usually we take refuge in distraction. When we are stressed out, we like to distract ourselves. Without distraction, we can't survive. In the worldly life, we can't survive. Because to deal with stress straight away is too much for us. We don't have that spiritual practice, that spiritual power, we don't have that. So when we do this kind of meditation practice, we get that spiritual power within ourselves. With distraction, in one of the Eastern European countries that I visit annually, a high-flying professor and his wife is also full-time employee. They don't have a lot of time for their son, grandson. So naturally they feel guilty for not giving enough attention to their child. What they do is, they give him a lot of toys, they buy a lot of things. By the time they brought the child to me, he was 6 years old. And the child was very distracted, maybe clinically also, and at that time, hyper. And I said, well, the starting point of discussion was like this. 2 days ago, the father bought the son a new toy. And 2 days later, the son said, Daddy, you never bought me, and you never buy me a toy. The father was very taken by surprise. Not only that, he was actually angry. I still had receipt. I bought you my 2 years. A 6 years old wouldn't understand the receipt. For the father, this is the principle of truth. I bought you 2 days ago. I'm telling the truth. So why he's saying that he's only 6 years old and he's telling a lie? I can't accept. The father said, the prophet said, calm down. I'm going to be a Buddhist diplomat here. You're telling the truth and your son is telling the truth. You're telling the truth because you have the receipt to prove. Your son is telling the truth because he has no relationship to this toy, the new toy. You bought him, but he doesn't feel that this toy belongs to him. He doesn't feel he has any toy, as he has many toys. This can happen because sometimes parents they spend a lot of time away from their children. Sometimes they go out with their friends, they spend a lot of money, and they come home. Wow, the poor kid hasn't got anything, but they buy a toy. If you have one toy, then it's easier for the child to form a relationship with this toy. He doesn't have to choose 2 toys. Now, the child has to decide which toy is his, which one is best. Sometimes he plays with this, another time he plays with this. He has the opportunity where he has no opportunity to establish a lasting relationship with any of those toys. 3 toys, you are racking his brain. 4 toys with 5. Some people, there's a room full of toys. The child doesn't feel that he has any of it, that any of it belongs to him. It's an emotional statement from the child. You need to read the emotional statement from the child. And at that time, both husband and wife stopped me. We had already made a mistake. The child is distracted, He needs more and more, he needs more and more toy. But any toy will become old and he will become fed up with that straight away, and then you want new one. You can see the vicious circle forming here. So I usually tell parents that they should keep in touch with their emotion. Sometimes they feel guilty despite many things. Actually, the child emotional growth cannot keep up with that. What the child has got is only the habit of distraction. Without distraction, the child cannot live. That's what happened to many of us. I think we take a break for about 7 minutes, and we come back for another session.
Chị đóng lại.